Hey everybody.
Morning.
Good
Hey,
morning.
everybody.
Good morning. We are very excited today, everybody. This is our very first show for Motivated Medical Monday. How many? Yay! This is our very first show. We True Visions have partnered with Choose Healthy Life and United Way for creating a healthier you in every area of our lives. So we're basically going to be talking about the disparities in our communities, in our churches. And so we are blessed to have so many professionals and what we call, what's a good word? Uh, 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 Professionals is a good one, but they're authorities on these issues. I'm going to use that word for right now. And so we're excited today. Our very first guest is Dr. Catherine Pauling. I said her name wrong. And so this is our very first guest. She is tuning in with us. She's actually signed in with us all the way from Alabama. And she's with Epiphany Counseling and Consulting. So come on, help me welcome our guest. Come on, Dr. Catherine Pullen. Can you introduce yourself to us?
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much. It is a privilege to be able to be here with you all today. I appreciate it. So I'm Dr. Catherine Pauling, like uh, uh, First Lady Howard share with us. And let's see. So I am the owner, proprietor, and chief executive officer, clinical director. I'm all those people for Epiphany Counseling and Consulting. Okay. And so that particular business, what I do is I provide mental health and substance abuse services to individuals, couples, families, groups. I also conduct training for professionals and organizations and laypersons in the community and churches as it relates to topics that impact our families, our communities, our neighborhoods. And so, with that being said, I'm not sure how much else you need to know about myself. I've been in business forever. I don't even want to say the number of years. It's a little bit much. But I've been in business for years and have worked probably every aspect of education and community mental health services that you can imagine. So,
Well,
there we
it's good for us to just really put it out there and put a stamp on it that you are the authoritarian on this particular subject for us today, right?
are. Right.
All right. I also want to introduce Bishop and Pastor Kitchen with the Wake Community Churches. They too have joined this fight for a healthier you in our communities because again we already know some of us, like myself was included, don't want to go run to the doctor for a lot of things and not realizing that all we have to do is just kind of change the way we're living. And so we are talking today about mental health. I want you to introduce yourselves, Bishop and Pastor Kitchen.
Well, good evening, everybody. Oh, good morning. Good morning, not evening. Good morning. I am Bishop Antoine Kitchen. This is Pastor Desiree Kitchen. We're the lead pastors of Away Community Church. And honestly, Pastor Kitchen has been an advocate for mental and health issues for a while. She's the healthy one. I'm the one that need improvement. So she's always advocated to eat healthy, live healthy, do things healthy, and she's very critical of those things. Case in point, when the COVID-19 first hit, all the chemicals people were looking for, we had in our house stocked up already, because that's just how she's such a help nut on that end. So we're definitely in support of, looking forward to some help information.
Amen. All right. Awesome.
Okay.
You pretty much did everything.
Before we're finished today, I want you to definitely send me your contact information so we can make sure the people have that information as well. Okay. And you can also put it in the chat. We do have a live chat. So for those that are going to be watching later, if you're going to have any questions for Dr. Pullen or Bishop or Lady Kitchen, or even myself, you can always just put it in the chat and it'll always prompt me that you ask the question. This is a pre-recorded is pre-recorded, so you'll definitely get a chance to see it, and we'll probably come back on to make sure that we address your questions and and get the answers for you. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive into this The subject we have today we're talking about mental health, and we're talking about mental health in our communities, in our churches. And now, again, this is why Dr. Paulin is here. Dr. Paulin, help us understand the mental health disparities or the mental health issues in our area. More so, we just started hearing about this new acronym, the new phrase BIPOC. Can you explain what BIPOC is and what does it mean?
Absolutely. So BIPOC is it represents all persons that are um, not that are non-white or non-Caucasian persons. So it really the acronym BIPOC. It's Black, Indigenous, People of Color. Okay, and this population is one of those populations. So so it's a very broad category, and it kind of defines, like I said, according to the color spectrum, right? How we interact with others and what's going on in our communities. So this particular population is usually the population that's the most underserved or disproportionately served in our communities, right? And so these persons typically have difficulties with a lot of things that keep them from getting the services that they need.
Awesome. So now that we know what BIPOC is and what BIPOC means, can you explain to us the what's going on in our community as it relates to medical, and what have you seen? Let me ask that question, not the first one, but what have you seen, or what has been your experiences with BIPOC, with the BIPOC community as it relates to mental health?
So that's a great question. So my experiences have been varied. As I said, well, I didn't say how long I've been in business, but it's been over 20 years, over 25 years, probably tapping on the other number, the next number up after that. And in those experiences, I have seen families, children in the community have struggles down through the years. And unfortunately, this is 2022, approaching 2023, and those struggles have not gone away. Okay. So what I find is persons who have less education, less resources, including financial resources, less access to transportation, right? Medical resources, any of those things, along with predetermined or pre-taught notions about what counseling is about. All of those things create this intersection that keep them from moving forward, right? And so that stigma is kind of a big umbrella that keeps them from moving through and actually reaching out to some of these resources. Now, some of those resources exist, but in limited quantities. And then some are just hard to access for the BIPOC population. They're even more difficult to access for them than it may be for the general population as a whole. So that's been my experience. A lot of things really have to do with the disparities that the BIPOC population face. So they don't have as much money or as much education. Doesn't mean that they're not smart or educated. It means that their education or resources are just not in a place where it allows them to get to what it is that they need, if that makes sense. And then certainly access to funding, access to just, getting from one side of town to the other side of town to get the resource that exists on the other side of town for them can be very difficult. Co-pays for medical insurances can be very costly for families if they have medical insurance at all. And some of our families don't even have access to medical assistance or insurance that they can even afford to pay the premium for. So many of those things have been things that I've experienced all through the years and currently in my current practice.
So let me ask you this question. Let me ask you this: what is the stigma? What is the stigma when we get away from those reasons that you just named? Education, being educated on it, or having the finances, or being able to, of course, afford the copay, or just what will be like a different stigma if we get away from all of that? What has been primarily the stigma for our community?
For our communities, many of our communities for people of color, and we have this stigma that getting mental health care or getting health care in general, that somebody's going to do something to us that they're not supposed to do, right? And some of that is very fair. Down through history, we've seen researchers conduct research that was not healthy or appropriate for people. Okay, and we, of course, as people of color, have experienced some of that down through the years. Um, More so, the stigma comes in where people feel like if I have to go outside of the family, then something is wrong with me. So now I feel like, am I crazy? Right? What's broken? Who's wrong? And so we have this feeling of being inadequate or not enough. So then shame comes along with that. I don't want anybody else to know that. I don't want anybody else to know that I can't fix or handle whatever's going on with me or within my family. So all those things kind of keep us locked in. And that's how the stigma grows bigger, is that if I go, then other people will know that something, whether it's any of those things or some other things, are happening behind my walls that shouldn't be happening and that we can't control. So we don't want to tell anybody else.
I'm about to really blow some church people mind. We've recently heard in different types of media outlets of pastors and leaders in a place of having mental health issues, and wanted to commit suicide. And so, have you seen that type of stigma as it relates to the church community or the faith-based community, and more so in our Black churches?
Oh, absolutely. I have talked with persons. I have conducted trainings in churches about where the relationship between the pastor and the counselor kind of work together, so that we understand that there's places that faith-based and religious studies and application are definitely appropriate, and we would say that that's in all places as a Christian counselor as well. At the same time, there's a space that organized religion, spirituality, has to hold and know when to turn that person over to a secular place, if you will, to allow them to get the natural help that they need so that they can process the spiritual help that they're trying to receive. There is a space, just like we go to the doctor for, if we have diabetes, or if we are overweight, or if, we have high blood pressure, we'll go to the doctor for those things. But for whatever reasons, and pastors will pass people that direction, or they'll go that direction themselves, but they won't go for their mental health. The same thing is that stigma. So then my parishioners will know, or somebody will know, and I'm supposed to be the person who has it all together. It doesn't mean you don't have it all together. What it means is you need a different type of assistance that can allow you to focus and rest, and then you can prepare and take in all the wonderful things that the word has to say. But we can't do that wholly without checking in with all of our being, right? So we have to do our whole health, and mental health is a part of that. So I think that's where that falls short.
It's amazing to me that some pastors would say, just pray about it, see Jesus, and not understand them, and then God will be leading them to go to a secular outlet in order to meet the needs, because obviously at this point you're really not listening to God, because your mental won't let you do it. And sometimes God is leading. That's what I want to tell the people. Sometimes God is leading you to go to a Dr. Paulin or somewhere, just like that in your area, because again, even as a pastor, this is a tough and a rough place to be at when you have nobody to go to, for fear of judgment, for fear of saying you're not saved, for fear of saying you're in the wrong field. I promise you, if you go to somebody like Dr. Paulin, it'll change your very existence of life. You'll probably become a better pastor, a better parent, a better spouse, a better person, a better friend, even preach even better. Boy, you'll get up there and be able to preach a sermon that'll blow everybody's mind if your mental health is right. And so I want to say this. We got about 3 more minutes in this broadcast. And so, Pastor and Bishop Kitchen, do you guys have any questions for Dr. Paulin?
Not really a question, but just to add to your statement when it comes down to even mental health. just reflecting, outside of even the pastor, because I definitely can relate to that. But even in the workforce, like I'm a manager at Walmart. I'm pretty sure everybody's heard about the Walmart shooting that happened in Virginia. Stuff like that, I mean, that's just, I mean, you had to really be pushed over the edge to do stuff like that, and then to take your own life. I mean, you really had to be pushed. And so those are things that we don't think people deal with, and we think people, they just tolerate it, and that's that. But we don't realize, as Pastor Kitchen told me a long time ago, it builds up, and when it builds up, it's going to explode, and ain't no telling what can happen once it explodes. So you need to get it out.
That's true, and most of it summarily stems from years and even decades of being programmed to not deal with your issues, to keep it in house, because this is a deep, dark web of mental instability that's been going on in the community for years, for generations.
Yeah.
Because you were taught what happens in the house stays in the house, right?
Stays in the house. That's good. Yeah.
Or you're unable to create an outlet so that you can mentally heal from the trauma that you may have went through during your childhood, or even within your own family. Because what is it? Men aren't supposed to cry, so men are unable to deal with their mental issues because they have to always be the stern, firm, strong one. They're never able to be vulnerable, and that can be detrimental to mental health as a whole as well.
Yeah.
And that's why they're unable to keep the family unit together. Like I said, it's a deep, dark web of just things that have been passed on from generation to generation. And if we get the knowledge and the information and the...
Oh, they got kicked out. She was saying some good stuff too.
Yes, she was. Yes, she was.
They got kicked. Let me let them know they got kicked out, and we getting ready to close out here. Oh, I hope they get back in before I get out of here.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, there they go. Oh, wow. Oh, Pastor Kitchen, you were saying some good stuff, girl. I'm
taking notes. I'm taking notes on the other screen.
I'm like, what happened?
What happened? Yeah.
But this is what happens. This information, that is a prime example of the information not getting out there, right?
Right.
The information isn't getting out there for the people to hear, or the people to see, or the people to take part in it. You know what I mean? So I could just talk a long time about it, but it stems from the things that we were taught. So we got to break out of the mold. We got to break the generational curse,
That's good,
so to speak.
Any final comments, Dr. Paula?
No. Well, you know what? Yes. The final comments would be, this is a wonderful, wonderful platform for this type of conversation. I look forward to hearing more and seeing more. It is essential that we talk in our communities about mental health and mental health situations, and be open to reducing and ultimately eliminating the stigma that's around it. So many of us can be helped by it. Just having those conversations are a great way to plant seeds, and I look forward to more of the great work that you guys are doing in whole health care. Thank you for inviting me.
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm going to, Dr. Paulin, I do want to thank you. I'm putting your information up on the screen. So if they need to get in contact with you, you can just call it out, but I did put it up on the screen, so if they don't have a chance to write, well, they can write it down. Hopefully they'll get it quick enough. So I'm putting it on the screen. Thank you so much for joining us for our very first Midday Medical Monday. We're so appreciative of you. This is going to air at 12:45, I want to say, or 12:15, one of them. I think at 12:15 I'm going to air it, and then just kind of doing a replay of what was talked about today. We want to come back and look at mental health, and maybe we can do a longer segment, because this is very important. And just prayerfully, someone got the information, got the message, and would literally take control of their mental health and just started recognizing it, not just in themselves, but in their families as well. I just want to add that, start paying attention to our children, start paying attention to our family members. When they start getting by themselves and start acting differently than you're normally used to, it's kind of time to ask questions.
Yep.
And you start even take a look at your pastors and your leaders, because at the end of the day, they need need somebody that they may not even realize that this is what's going on with them as well. And so, and I just want to tell other fellow clergy members and other just people, period, there's not in our community, especially in the BIPOC community. I want to tell you, there's nothing wrong. Get the help that you need. Again, thank you all for joining us today. Have an amazing day and take control of your health. It's about you. You can't, nobody else can do it but you. It's in your hands. Thank you so much for joining. Have an amazing day.
Thank you.
Bye, buddy.